Hello and welcome to HitFilm 3 Express. I'm Simon Jones, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about the editing tools. Now if you're completely new to filmmaking and just want to know about editing concepts, I do recommend you look up editing theory on the internet. In fact, check out past Film Riot episodes because they've covered all kinds of really great editing techniques. We'll make sure we put some links up on the screen and down in the video description. Okay, let's get started. Make sure you've grabbed the project files, which include some video footage to play around with, or you can use your own stuff. It's up to you. This tutorial isn't so specific that you need to use particular video clips. There's an info card on this video which links right to the project files, or you can find them on the HitFilm website or in the YouTube description. So you're working on your first HitFilm project. The home screen is where you always begin, and the first thing to do is hit the New Project button. This takes you to the project screen, which is where you set up the resolution, frame rate and other settings. Do check your camera settings to see what kind of video it shoots. If it's a modern HD camera, it's going to be the 720p or 1080p. You'll find a bunch of presets at the top of this window, which makes things a bit easier. Just open it up and look for something that matches your camera. If you're using the project files that we've provided, then make sure you choose the 720p HD template at 23.976 frames per second. That will mean that everything is set up and ready to go. Okay, hit Start Editing and you'll be switched over to the Edit screen. This is where you do all of your editing and visual effects work inside HitFilm. At this point, the project is a blank canvas, and from here you can create short films, documentaries, music videos, animations, visual effects shots, title sequences. So what do you want to do? Have a think about that, because HitFilm is an incredible creative tool and it can do pretty much anything you want it to do. For now, let's just start by importing some videos, because you can't edit without something to edit, right? You can bring videos in by clicking the Import button in the Media panel and then locating the files on your computer. Alternatively, if you already have a window open with the clips like I do here, you can simply drag them into the Media panel. HitFilm brings in the clips and displays them ready for use. One thing to note is that when you import a video or an image or an audio file, any changes you make inside HitFilm will not affect the original file, so you're never going to be at risk of losing your original stuff. The Media panel has all kinds of features for organizing and filtering your assets. As you work on larger projects, you're going to want to figure that stuff out so that you don't get confused and in a mess. Keeping things organized is really important, and we have other tutorials that go into those topics in more detail. When you click on any video in the Media panel, it pops up in the Trimmer, and this is where you can preview your clips before actually using them in your project. It's also where you can trim your clips in advance, hence the name. Because when you shoot your film, you'll usually have stuff on the start and end of a video clip which you don't actually want to use in the film itself. You know, stuff like you shouting action and cut. To choose a specific section from a video, simply move the playhead to the correct starting point by dragging it or just clicking the play button, and then click the in point button. Move to a later frame and click the out point button, and you'll see that the chosen area is a different color now. You can also press the I and the O keys on the keyboard, which can often be faster. So now you can add that trimmed section to your timeline. To do this, just hit the Insert button here. That adds the clip at the playhead's current position on the main timeline. You can see that I'm using these controls down the bottom left of the timeline to change the preview size of clips and to zoom in and out on what I'm looking at. You can do this at any time to get a better view on what you're working on. Alright, let's add another clip. I'll select it in the Media panel, trim it down again to the bit I want, so taking off the start and the end, and then instead of clicking the Insert button, this time I'm going to drag the trimmer video down to the timeline. As with most things in HitFilm, there's usually multiple ways to go about doing stuff. So depending what you're doing, you'll change techniques to whatever makes most sense at the time. And this is really the basic process for assembling your edit. Carry on adding more clips to your timeline until you're familiar with how the trimmer works and the general process of doing it. It'd be pretty unusual for you to get your edit perfect straight away. Once you have your clips assembled on the timeline, you're then going to want to go in with the editing tools and fine-tune all the cuts, because that's really where editing really starts to shine, when you refine everything down until it's absolutely perfect. On the left side of the timeline there are 7 tools, plus this little guy down at the bottom. Getting familiar with these tools is essential for editing quickly and easily in HitFilm, so let's take a look at them one by one. The arrow is the Select tool. This is a multi-purpose tool and is the one you'll probably find yourself using the most. You can use it to grab clips and move them around on the timeline. If you drag out a box, you can select multiple clips and then move them all at the same time. Remember that no decision is final when you're editing on a computer, so you can always move things around and change your mind at any time. So still with the Select tool selected, if you hover over the end of a clip, you can trim its start or end point. This is essentially the same as what you were doing in the trimmer panel, except you're now doing it right here on the timeline. Moving and trimming clips are the basic building blocks of editing. If you can do that, you can edit. Everything that comes after that is about making the overall process faster and easier and more efficient. For example, let's say I wanted this clip on the left to finish a bit earlier, so that the clip that came afterwards started playing sooner. Based on what I've just shown you, you can use the Select tool to trim the out point of the left clip, move that to the left a bit, and then use the Select tool again to just move the right clip to the left, closing that gap. And that's completely fine, that works, and the end result is what you wanted. But you know what's easier? Using something called the Ripple Edit tool. I'm going to use the history panel over here to jump back a couple of steps to before I did that edit. Remember the history panel because it logs everything you do, and if you ever make a mistake or change your mind, you can go back there to go back through your actions. It's really useful. Right, I'm now going to select the Ripple Edit tool, which is this double-ended arrow here. And I'll now find the out point of that first clip and drag it to the left. Now as I make the edit, HitFilm is automatically moving the clips to ensure that no gap appears. If I let go, the end result is the same as with the first technique, but this time round it only required me to do one thing. Each of these tools offers those kinds of speed boosts. The Slip tool makes it easy to change the in and out points of a clip without changing its overall duration or its position on the timeline. It's again entirely possible to do that with the Select tool, but it would take a lot longer and require more steps. When even a short film consists of hundreds or even thousands of edit points, speed really is essential. The Slide tool is used to move a clip left or right on the timeline, without moving any surrounding clips or creating any gaps. Note that with all these tools, the viewer switches to show you useful information while you're performing the edit. So in this case, you get these 4 little previews. The top 2 frames show the in and the out points of the clip you're sliding. These aren't changing because the contents of the clip don't actually change during a slide edit. And the frames at the bottom show where the clip is being moved to by showing the frames either side from the other clips. Then we have the Roll Edit tool. This is used to simultaneously change the out point of one clip and the in point of the next. So one common editing technique is called cutting on motion. For example, you might do the cut as an actor goes through a door, cutting from outside the room to inside the room, or as an actor picks up an object. By cutting around the action, you maintain continuity between shots, which helps the audience know what's going on. And the Roll Edit tool is really useful for adjusting precisely where that cut takes place without altering the actual timing of the rest of the sequence. The razor icon is for the Slice tool. This is used to split a clip into 2 clips. All of these tools have keyboard shortcuts which are worth learning so that you don't have to keep moving your mouse over here to switch. Instead, you can just hit R to go to the Ripple Edit tool, and then V to go back to the Select tool, or C to enable the Slice tool. In fact, you don't even need to switch to the Slice tool. Hitting Ctrl, Shift and D, or Command Shift D on the Mac, will immediately slice the currently selected clip wherever the playhead happens to be. Alright, if this is all sounding a bit overwhelming, don't worry. You don't need to learn and remember all of this right away. Over time, you'll start to pick it up as you edit more projects, and you'll begin to figure out your own preferred way of editing. Many editors swear by keyboard shortcuts and hardly ever even touch the mouse, but really it's your call. Ultimately, the only thing that matters is the end result. How you get there is up to you. The last tool up here is the Drag tool. This is used purely to navigate around the timeline, which can be handy as your timeline gets longer and longer. Unlike the other tools, you can't actually do any editing with it. The whole point is that you can use it to move around the timeline without accidentally clicking and adjusting a clip. Finally, we have the Snap tool in the form of this little magnet down here. This can be toggled on and off with the S key, which is definitely a shortcut worth remembering, as you're likely to want to switch it on and off multiple times throughout your edit. With Snap turned on, the ends of clips automatically link to each other. This makes sure that you never have any accidental empty frames between clips. Most of the time this is super handy, but occasionally you'll want to move a clip with more precision, and snapping can make that tricky. That's when you want to turn it off, so that you can move clips frame by frame without being interrupted by the snapping. There's still more to discover with HitFilm's editor. You can have multiple video and audio tracks, for example. Having multiple video tracks means you can add titles and even do simple compositing, while having multiple audio tracks lets you create a more interesting soundscape complete with sound effects and music. In this timeline you can see how multiple tracks have been used to overlap video and audio, creating a more interesting edit in which dialogue bleeds over the cuts, creating a better sense of continuity.
I said come alone.
It's cool. He's with me.
The meters panel lets you monitor your audio to make sure it isn't peaking, although audio is a topic for another time. Transitions are another thing we haven't even touched upon yet, and you can find those in the effects panel. Again, we have tutorials that go into this stuff in more detail, and we'll link them up on screen. What we haven't done in this tutorial is talk about visual effects. Make sure you check out our other tutorials if you want to dive right in. But an important thing to realise about HitFilm is that it's an editor and a visual effects compositor, and that's pretty unusual to have them together in one program. In fact, the compositing features are integrated really tightly, so if you're working on your edit and decide that a shot needs some visual effects, all you need to do is select that clip on the timeline, then hit the Make Composite Shot button. That converts the clip into a composite shot and opens up an entirely new timeline, which is where you get to work creating awesome VFX. The best thing of all is that you can then just switch between your visual effects shots and your edit by clicking these tabs at the top of the timeline. It's exactly like switching tabs in your web browser. It really is that easy. No need to switch between entire programs or learn a completely new interface. Okay, many thanks for watching this tutorial. If you're brand new to filmmaking or to HitFilm, then you're about to embark on an incredibly exciting and rewarding creative journey. And if you want some company on that journey, make sure you head over to the hitfilm.com forum, where you'll find a whole bunch of friendly filmmakers and artists more than happy to share their tips and tricks. We have a load more tutorials on our YouTube channel, so if you want to know more, check them out. Until next time.